to another episode of Small Town Expectations. My name is Brandi Rose, and I am so excited for my next guest. This is somebody who's been very excited for a very long time to be on the show. Way back in episode 2, or episode 3, it was my second guest. I interviewed my friend Georgia, and he happened to be here, and he was like, "Hey, Brandi, I kind of want to tell my story." And so this is something that he and I have been talking about, and we are very excited to bring you my friend Mario's story. So this is Mario. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
This is Mario, and he does Sandstone Theater. That's how I have actually met him, is through Sandstone, and he's been in lots of productions. I'm going to let him tell you about all of the productions that he's been in, but he has done, I always see him at game night at the Grant's house. I always see him at, Tony parties, anything that revolves around theater. Mario is going to be there, and he's going to represent, and he's probably going to be the leading dude in the cast, at least one of the leading dudes.
We're working on that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, so Mario is here to tell you his story. So first of all, Mario, tell the listeners how old you are.
I am 20 years old.
20?
20. Spent 2 decades on this earth.
You act like that's a really long time.
I honestly, I feel older than I should. Like, I just think back and oh yeah, 2008 was 10 years ago. Wow.
That's when you graduated. It was 2008.
Oh no, when I graduated was in 2016. But even then, I just looked back. I was like, man, I feel old.
What happened in 2008 that's so significant?
Just a lot. I think the Steelers won the Super Bowl, and I just look back. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the last time we actually won something.
The Steelers?
Yeah, the Steelers.
So big Steelers fan?
Big Steelers.
Okay. Why are you a Steelers fan?
I guess it just kind of happened. When I was younger, I didn't really understand sports, but my brother, he was this huge Steelers fan. In terms, he kind of made my sisters and me huge Steelers fans. And then around 2008 is when I actually watched, or 2008, 2009, is when I watched the Steelers play the Super Bowl 43 against the Cardinals, and that was just when I was like, okay, yep, this is my team.
So you were 10 when you decided this is my team?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like that's a very significant time. It's, around 10 years old.
Yeah. This is when everything just kind of sticks.
That's right. That's right. Well, so tell us, where have you grown up?
Well, I was born in Delta, Colorado, just this little rinky-dink town, and then we moved when I was 2, and I've lived in Bloomfield, New Mexico the rest of my entire life. Okay. I still live there today.
Do you have pictures of you in Delta, Colorado?
Actually, I do not think so, because whenever we moved, is when my grandpa passed, and so my family felt like it was better to be with my mom's mom, who lived in Bloomfield, so we just decided to move there, and I have little to no memory about being in Delta.
Okay. I mean, you were 2, so it's totally understandable. So here's what I know about Delta. There's a sign that says, hey, Delta is this way whenever you're driving to Colorado Springs area. Mm-hmm. So, I couldn't even tell you what comes before Delta or after Delta. I just know that I've seen a sign. Yeah. So, southern-ish Colorado, I guess maybe, I don't even know. Nope, Don't even know.
Yeah, I actually, I've never even been back there since we moved. That's the crazy thing. I've never taken a trip or with my family thing to go back there, because I've just never had the time. They've never had the time. And one day I would just like to go back, with my parents, and just see where everything was, what all was great about it. The only thing I know is that it's the road's off a cliffside, so it's very sketchy. And my dad is, even to this day, still scared to drive there. Dang. My dad, he works out in the field. He drives a truck around all these mountains in Ignacio, but he's that's still one of the places he's still scared to go.
That's cool.
Yeah, and
that's a cool idea, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So you grew up in Bloomfield, and tell us just a little bit about Bloomfield.
Oh man, Bloomfield. The only thing I can say is that it only has 3 stoplights, so traffic's not that bad. But no, it's just this really small little peaceful town. I mean, it's one of those towns where it's everyone knows everybody. It's just everything's where you needs to be. Everything's walking distance, and it's just a nice little town. I love it. Yeah. I really love it.
And everybody's real close knit, and a lot of people are related. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, a lot of my family's there.
Yeah, that's cool.
A lot of my mom's and dad's side of the family in that area, Bloomfield, Aztec, around in the San Juan County area.
Yeah. So whenever there's family gatherings, then everybody's there. Do you have nieces and nephews?
I do. I actually have 2 nephews and a niece. All 3 of them from my brother. Marcus, he's 9 years old. Oh man, he's 9. Oh jeez. That's one of the problems where I'm like, oh man, I'm old. Isabella.
You're 20, Mario.
Yeah, I still feel old. I'm just like, yeah. But Izzy, that's what I call her, Isabella. She's 4 years old, and the youngest, Cyrus, he's 2, and they just turned 4 and 2 in February.
Who's your favorite? I'm just kidding.
Don't make it
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, do they like hanging out with? What do they call you? First of all,
just Uncle Mario. Sai just calls me Mawo. As close as he can tell me. And one of the favorite things they like to do whenever they come to the house, like I'm in my room just kind of hanging out. They come in. They want to fight me. They just want to. They just.
It's because you're such a tough dude.
I know. I hate it. Like They love Power Rangers, so that's all they ever think about is action and fighting and all that. And then when they look at me, they're just like, fighting stance, gotta fight Mario. I'm just like, guys, I just want to take a nap.
Yeah, right. You totally play with them.
I definitely do.
My nephew, he calls me Aunt Dandy, and it's the best thing ever.
That is so cute.
I know, I love that little man. So I know being living where we live and having our family close and all those things, like that's something really special.
It really is. It's always nice because I've always grown up in a very tight knit family. Even to this day, like I'm still the only one who lives with my parents going to school and all that. But like, even when they all moved out, they all come over like once or twice a week, and we all just kind of hang out. And it's just like, we are that close of a family. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never gonna like be really that apart from them, especially being like out of high school and being the youngest. Like I still get to see them quite often, more than most families do. Right.
And there's definitely families who have an aunt and an uncle that move away, and like they're still your aunt, your uncle, or whatever, you know what I mean? But then when, like for me, I lived in Texas, and I hated knowing that my nephew had all of these significant things happening, and he was growing up, and I wasn't able to be a part of it. That was really hard for me, and so he was a big reason that I moved back to New Mexico, or to Farmington specifically, was so that I could be a part of that. And so you're just lucky. I mean, you know what I mean? Is kind of the point I'm making, that you have 3 nieces and nephews, 2 nephews, 1 niece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to be Uncle Mario, and you get to go to their dance recitals and go to their concerts, and you know what I mean, go to their sports games. Oh, that's something really special.
It really is. Like Marcus, he's the one who has all that stuff going on right now. He's so huge in sports. He does football, he does basketball, he does baseball, and he's amazing. And I just go at the stands and I watch him, whether he's running the football or he's throwing the ball or just anything. It's just like, I'm watching him grow up right before my eyes, and it's just like, most people don't experience that.
It's cool,
and it's
right?
amazing, yes.
Yeah, and so that leads into you being this big giant jock, right? So you've been graduated for 2 years?
2 years.
So, 3 years ago, you were this big giant jock in high school. Tell us what that was like.
It was amazing. A lot of my best moments were either on the field or on the court. I did football, I did basketball, I did track, baseball. I did almost everything, and it was really fun. And just a lot of who I am now came from that, from just being a strong leader, like be my own person, like be my own man. Like that's where I learned a lot of my life lessons from.
Yeah. So, what sport do you feel like you excelled the most in? What was your favorite sport, I guess?
My favorite sport, basketball. Yeah? Basketball is just my life. I love it to death. Even though I never really got to play it much because, I loved being on JV and all that, but I can never make the varsity.
Okay.
Because, I know I don't like to hear when people say coaches have their favorites, but it's kind of true whenever you see it outside of the sport. But basketball...
And there's nothing wrong with you feeling that way.
No.
You know what I mean? You can think that and feel that. That's a fair thing.
But as long as I was on the court with my brothers, just playing basketball, playing as a team, like that's where I felt most at home. And especially even now when I don't play, like whenever I'm having a bad day or a good day, or I just need to take some time for myself, I can just go to the court and just dribble the basketball for an hour or two, and I'm completely fine. It's always going to be there for me.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, as your nephews grow up, you can help them in sports. Definitely. And, teach them. It all just kind of goes full circle, right? Which is really, really neat.
Yeah. I have my dad, my brother, me. We're all just teaching Marcus, like, how to play this, what to do, what not to do. And that's why he's so good, is because he has 3 relatives who have done this experience and can pass it on to him.
Who were athletes.
Yeah, definitely. My dad was a huge athlete when he was in high school. He was the guy. Also, my brother, when he was in high school, huge football player, huge baseball player. He was the guy. Mm-hmm. And then you bring in me, and I'm just kind of in that shadow. That was the really sucky thing for me. Okay. As soon as I got into freshman year football, everyone just saw me as Alex's little brother. Yeah. And Alex is my brother. And it was just, like, it was a lot to overcome. Because even everybody knew my dad. Yeah. Even from when he was in school back in the 80s, everyone still remembered who my dad was, who my brother was. And it was just a lot of shoes to fill. Yeah.
So how do you overcome something like that? Like, what was kind of your strategy?
Just put 110% on practice, on games, on everything. Anytime I could perfect my game or work on anything, I took the opportunity to do that. Yeah. I definitely bust my butt every day knowing that I could get better.
What position did you play in football?
Football, I was a running back. Okay. I was the dude who ran the ball, only because,
so you're fast and you can juke.
Yes, pretty much. I can avoid contact. I love contact. I love hitting people. And I also played linebacker. Even though I wasn't that big, I was fast and I could hit hard.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you kind of got out of your brother's shadow by senior year? Or do you think it was just something that just kind of followed you always?
After my senior year, I turned away from football. Okay. Only because my junior year, they had a different coach and I didn't really see eye to eye with him. Okay. And so in terms of that happening, I went into soccer during the fall, and they all wanted me to do soccer, and they didn't have a lot of guys, so they just needed people. And then as soon as soccer year happened, that was probably the happiest I've ever been in a sport, because football, you have those relationships with your guys and with the sport, but I felt like I was truly at home with soccer. Like, they loved me like I was one of their own. They never let anything like distract me or help me with anything. Even my coach, Coach Reed, it was his first year as a head coach, and that was my first year actually playing soccer. And he understood my situation. He knew I had theater. He knew I had all these classes. He knew my senior year was going to be a struggle, but he was willing to work with me through any of it because he knew of my abilities and what I was willing to give, and he was willing to work around that.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. So, have you done theater? Did you do theater in high school, or did you just kind of get thrown in? I guess the better question. Let me rephrase. How did you find yourself in theater?
I found myself in theater my junior year. It was after basketball season, and that was a super tough basketball season. My body was wearing and tearing on me. And usually after that, I go right into track. Mm-hmm. But I just thought to myself, you know what? My body's tired. I don't really feel like doing track, so I just decided to take a year off from that. And then Sean Kidd, my choir director, who was also the director for the Music Man, what they were putting on that spring, he asked me how track was doing. I was like, I'm not really doing track this year. I just need to take a break. And he asked me, do you want to be an extra in the Music Man? We're still looking for guys. And I was just like, well, I just need an excuse not to be at home in the afternoon. So I jumped on the opportunity. I was like, yeah, I'll definitely do that.
So that was your first show?
That was my very first show.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. And tell us about that experience.
It was weird at first because it was a completely different environment than what I had been used to for a huge part of my life. But with the cast and everybody, they were so accepting of me. They were willing to show me all the ropes, show me how everything was done. Even though I was just an extra, like, they were really invested into me for just being such a little part. It was amazing.
That's cool. So, how many shows have you been in?
Oh man, let me count. Just musicals or just shows all in general?
Okay, well, I there's one specific question that I want to ask you, so just all shows in general.
All shows in general? Music Man, 2-1-X, Christmas Carol. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to think right now. This with Mary Poppins, this will be my 9th show.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so in that, did you count Madagascar?
I did. I really did.
Okay. So the problem with me knowing little snippets about people before they come on this show is that I know funny stories. Mm-hmm. And do you want to tell that story? Because it's a good one.
Yeah, I always carry it with me because I'm just like, I wouldn't say it was my worst theater experience. It was my most stressful theater experience.
Yes, which makes sense. But it's kind of one that I admire a little bit. Mm-hmm. I will say that. So tell us what that experience was.
So it was a year after I graduated. It was in the next school year. Mr. Kidd asked me to be the sound director for Madagascar, and I wasn't going to school. I was just kind of working, but I had my afternoons off. So I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, it might as well get a hand at what techies do. It'd be a fun learning experience. And as I watched the show go on, the guy who played Alex the Lion, he really struggled. He didn't really put forth the effort to learn his part and to grow in his part, which really made me feel bad for him, because I was like, Alex the Lion, it was such a fun part in the show. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to the final dress rehearsal. The guy who played Alex the Lion, he told Mr. Kidd the day of dress rehearsal that he had an important court date he had to be to the next morning, which the next morning was our first show for the elementary schools. Mm-hmm. And that's something you really don't want to hide from your director.
Right.
The day before.
Yes. The day before the show opens.
So I just saw from a distance Mr. Kidd's face. He was just like, he was so livid, but like so concerned on what to do. And then he pulled me to the side. He asked me, hey, Mario, I know Marnie's not going to be here. Can you fill in as Alex the Lion for the first show? And I'm just thinking to myself, I just graduated. And if I go straight back into high school theater, it's just going to be like, I felt so embarrassed because I did not want to be put in that situation. I did not want to be that dude who graduated and decided not to leave high school. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I thought people were going to think. But I just thought to myself, I was like, I don't need to worry about anything like that. This is for the show. This is for the people who put time and effort into the show. And I did not want them to be let down. I did not want to let them down. So I decided to do it. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's okay. So a lot of this is always surrounding living in a small town. And I think that is significant because I don't think that would happen in a metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it is something significant. And I don't mean to embarrass you. I hope that didn't embarrass you telling that story.
No.
But from what I hear, I mean, I didn't see this show, but from what I hear, you learned your lines in like not even 24 hours, and you learned all the choreography, you learned the blocking, you learned all of that stuff in one day, and were able to go on, put on, I think, how many shows do you guys do that week? Like 6 shows?
Something like that.
Yeah, and you were able to literally go on and play a leading role. I mean, Alex the Lion is, I would say Marty probably is like the lead, right? And
one of the two, yeah.
Yeah, and then Alex is right there below it. You have a solo, you have monologues, you have all of those things, and you were able to pull that out and make that happen. Mm-hmm. And while it's that thing that you're like, ugh, I had to do that, and it was hard for you. Mm-hmm. It was humbling, I think, and it was a lot of things, but you did it.
Yeah,
and from what I understand, you did it well.
Yeah, I just remember it took 6 hours. I remember exactly. It took me 6 hours to learn an entire show. My cousin who played Marty. Marty. Alex Valverde, he worked with me a lot. He stayed up 2 hours with me learning everything, and it was just constant stress. I was up at 2 a.m. learning the lines, learning the songs, and then I felt like I needed a rest. Had to wake up at 5 so we could be there around 7 o'clock, and I was still learning all my stuff, and I was just stressing out. And then when the curtains happened, it was just... I did the best I could, and I felt like I did the best I could.
Yeah. I heard you did a good job. Mm-hmm. So word on the street is that you did well, just so you know.
Yeah.
Cool. So what has been your favorite role that you've done?
My favorite role, I mean, it has to be being Donkey in Shrek.
Yeah.
And especially doing it twice, one in high school and then one in the Sandstone productions. Mm-hmm. I mean, both times it was just as fun as the first time. Like, it was... I felt like I was being myself on stage. I felt like I was just being this goofy, really humorous, funny, loving dude. And it came so easy to me. It really did. Because, I mean, Donkey is a character after my own heart. And I felt like I could do so much with it. I felt like once I had it down, I'm like, I could add this, I could add that. I wonder if this could be funny. And a fun process for me to learn how to be Donkey.
It's cool. Yeah, it was a really good show. So Donkey or Shrek, where Mario played Donkey, was the production that Sandstone put on last year, which is really cool. And this year's production is Mary Poppins.
Yes.
What is your role in Mary Poppins this year?
I have a lot of name characters. I'm not really any specific. I'm Valentine, one of the dolls that comes alive. I am Von Hustler, the evil German banker.
Okay.
I am also the policeman in there, and then I'm also ensemble with everyone else.
That's cool. And earlier we were talking about some of the routines. What is your favorite song that you guys are singing this summer?
Oh man, there's a lot. I think it would have to be Jolly Holiday.
Okay.
Just because I got the choreography down pretty easy for it, and then learning how to sing it, just kind of putting those two together makes it 10 times more fun than it is. I mean, putting the work in for it right now, it did suck for a while.
Yeah.
It was a struggle for me, but as soon as I got the singing down and the dancing down, it just really clicked for me.
Yeah, well, this is a really fun show. And so I think people that have seen you, I just think people who have seen this show have really loved it. And it's just exciting and it's fun.
Definitely.
You know?
And this one kind of holds a special place in my heart because this was one of the first musicals I remember watching. And I watched it with my grandma because she really loved it. And I would spend the night at her house over the weekends, and we would watch it together. I had vague memories of it, but I just remember that she really loved it, so it holds a special place in my heart.
That's cool.
Right now.
Yeah, that's really neat. So tell us, what are you doing now? What does the life of Mario look like now?
Right now, just a lot of theater. I'm actually assistant directing for Teen Voices, and that actually starts on we show on the 23rd and 24th of July.
Yeah, that's when the show happens for the public.
Yes, and we're doing Legally Blonde Jr.
Yeah, which is going to be so much fun.
And I know a lot of people have seen the movie and they've really loved it. I've actually never really seen the movie.
What?
I mean, I've seen it, but I've never finished it all the way through. I've seen tidbits here and there.
Oh, Mario, we got to change that,
bro. I know. My friend George is going to get me on that real quick.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be a real fun show. We just actually had our first rehearsal, kind of a meet and greet kind of thing to get to know the cast and everybody.
Yeah.
And it was really good. I'm really excited about this group of kids we have.
Yeah.
They seem really, really up for it and really ready to learn and put on a good show.
That's cool. Yeah, it's going to be fun. And so you are you part of children's theater?
I am not, but
Okay.
I plan to go watch it because I love the Heather Moy Children's Theater because they put really good shows.
Yeah.
With the amount of group of kids they have, and I can imagine the fun they have putting it together. It's really exciting to go watch it and really see the up and coming kids wanting to do theater and really ready to do it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so after theater's over, after the summer's over, what does your life kind of look like?
I'm going to be going back to work at the college. I worked at the bookstore at San Juan College. I'm not working again this summer because they didn't renew my contract, but they told me if I applied for it in July, I believe it was, that it'd be a good chance that they would hire me back and I'd be working in the fall.
That's cool. Yeah, what are you studying at San Juan?
Oh, at San Juan, I'm starting technical theater.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is that kind of where you want to go in the future? Is working on a set, or you want to teach? Like what do you think you want to do in this moment? You're 20. Yeah. It's going to change a million times.
I definitely want to teach it right now, only because this is theater. That junior year, when I found theater, I found who I was as a person. I found who I was and what I wanted to do. And I just want to be able to, I always think to myself, I want to be able to give that to some other kid like me who is maybe lost in his high school days and just needs a little guidance and hopefully find that thing that makes him feel whole or her whole. Like I really want to give kids the experience that I definitely had when I was in high school and to give them the knowledge and will to do it.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a really that's a special goal. So that's cool. So is there any other part of your story that you would like to share with the listeners?
I think just in the high school part of it was just kind of trying to find myself, because I mean, like any high schooler, I'm struggling with identity and who I am, and it was really I don't know if it's like a really hot topic, but religion was kind of one of my things that I struggled with. I'm Roman Catholic, and I've been Roman Catholic my whole life. My whole family's been it. But I just had a real struggle with my faith and what I wanted to believe. Mm-hmm. And my parents were really concerned with it. They really were, with who I was and who I was hanging out with. And that was the first time my family's been truly ever concerned about me.
Okay.
Like, not even my parents, just like my whole family. Like, they were really struggling with it, and they didn't know how to help. And they were just looking left and right on a way to help me. Yeah. But as I came out of high school, when I kind of had my free will to think for myself, I really kind of grasped just my faith. Like, it became clear to me, like, who I was and what I believed. And it was really tough. Yeah. It was super tough.
Yeah. Well, that's part of faith, though, for, as you grow older and as you grow in your faith, I think that there's going to be struggles, you know what I mean? And so, don't let that totally freak you out, but work through it. Yeah. So, and whatever that means for you, even in the future, you know what I mean? You're gonna have more struggles in your faith, and you're gonna have struggles in what you believe and where you stand on topics and that kind of stuff. Especially, sometimes you're gonna not feel the same way about a particular topic as your family, and you have to just work through that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Definitely. Which is really, it's significant, and it's something that I think people, just humans in general, get really hung up on, and it's scary. It is. Right? And sometimes that fear can keep us from growing and keep us from moving forward. And so it's neat that you've worked through it, and it's neat to hear that it's something that is kind of thriving in your life at this particular moment. Yeah. So that's neat. Cool. Well, good story, Mario. Thank you. Thank you for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it so much. Is there anything that you want to plug? Any kind of your social media, any shows that's coming up, that kind of stuff?
Well, Mary Poppins, it is going to be starting soon here in mid-June. I believe June 21st, around there. And then it ends, the closing weekend is August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Right. And then Children's Theater, actually, they're going to be showing Schoolhouse Rock Junior, which also starts July 25th.
There's a show coming up that starts, that's July 25th. Yes, yeah. Cool. So Teen Voices again, Legally Blonde, 24th, 25th in July. We're going to plug in all of these dates and the links that take you to actually buy tickets. Yes. We'll put those in the description of this podcast, so look for that. Mario, I really just genuinely appreciate you being here and for getting excited about coming on and telling your story.
Definitely. It just looked like a lot of fun to be on here, and I always love talking. I always love talking to people and telling people my side of stuff, and thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure and a real honor.
Cool. Well, thank you, Mario. All right, so this has been another episode of Small Town Expectations. You can find me anywhere on social media. I'm Rad Brandi on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and then you can find me on Facebook. I'm Brandi Rose. Also, check out my WordPress. It's radbrandi.com. If you have an Android and you can't listen on iTunes app, this is the best way for any Android listener to tune in to episodes coming up. Again, radbrandi.com. And until next time, have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon.